And on your radio station right now is Talkback Time, and the number is 55208888, and the subject today is the state of the state. We welcome Ray Stevens, the member for Mermaid Beach, and he'll be here to field your questions and hear your comments on 55208888. Welcome, Ray. How are you?
Good morning. Yeah, I'm well, thanks, Russ. Good morning, listeners.
Well, the dust settling now after the federal election. We know that's a federal election, but you've got to live with them. So, give us some your feelings about it.
Well, it's a very disappointing result from the LNP's point of view over the weekend. I think it was fairly predictable when the opposition decided to put in large-scale policies like the nuclear policy, and they got well and truly belted through the advertising campaign and ran a very poor campaign. I think most people would agree, particularly in certain areas. So, but we live with the result. The people of Australia never get it wrong. The people of Queensland don't get it wrong in terms of elections, and we'll work with the Albanese Labor government to further the interests of Queensland, and in particular for us here on the Gold Coast. We'll be looking forward to the Albanese federal government coming up with some funding for things like Light Rail 4.
Yeah, well, they've already put that off their priority list, haven't they?
So, they certainly have. They pulled it previously. They pulled it off their infrastructure program. There is no funding in their program, what they call the 4-year forward estimates. In other words, the budgeting for the next 4 years, it's not in there. So if we don't get a very positive response from the federal government on Light Rail 4, it certainly won't be happening before the 2032 Olympics.
Well, you're copping a little bit of stick right now about this review about Stage 4 with the suggestion that you've already made your decision, and the survey or the community consultation aspect is all a bit of a cosmetics. Like they say in politics, you shouldn't have a review or a royal commission until you know what the answer is. They're saying you've already made that decision.
Yes, and I don't think that's quite correct. I mean, basically it's a genuine consultation period that their local residents have never had. In the previous, correspondence in terms of consultation, it was from people as far away as, I suppose, Beenleigh. Now, that is not relevant to the people that it's going to affect, which is in that particular area, and they've had enormous response from the people in that particular area. So I think that's a reasonable consultation, and I think this government is prepared to get a view from everybody in the particularly affected by Light Rail 4, and then a decision will come forward on whether the Light Rail 4 proceeds with federal government funding. It cannot proceed without the 55% of federal government funding for the project, because at the moment it's estimated at about $7 billion. Now that's a lot of money, and it's because of the bridges that have to be put in over Tallabudgera and Currumbin. It's a very, very expensive exercise, and of course over the Burleigh Hill is another expensive exercise as well. So, when the feds come good with the money, then obviously the state would have to come good with its share, as would the Gold Coast City Council. So it's a long way to go before a final decision is made, and it's only appropriate that a good consultation process takes place.
So we're back to the first question we asked. How are you going to get on with Canberra? So that's one of the issues, isn't it?
They're the guys with all the money, Russ. For everyone's edification, the taxation dollar funds all these projects, and the federal government collects 80% of the taxation funds in Australia. The state governments collect 16% of the taxation dollar, mainly through the GST, but in other taxes as well, stamp duty for instance, and the local governments through their rates and their differential charges they put in such things as the view tax, and they collect 4% of the taxation dollar to spend in their local area. So, in other words, the feds are the big guys in town with the money, and we will dance to their tunes. If they don't want to upgrade the M1, for instance, then it won't happen, because we can't can't afford to do it with our taxation level of dollars. So the feds have to come good, and it'll be up to Mr Albanese and the feds to come good with funding for the Gold Coast, which is one of the fastest growing regions in Australia.
Well, of course, we're talking about consultation and dancing to tunes. You fellas are supposed to be responsive to the community at large. They're out there right now. Here's their opportunity to ring in and have a chat with you. 55208888 is the number to have a chat with Ray while he's here with us discussing state issues. 55208888. Let's hear what you have to say to the local member for Mermaid, where, of course, stage 3 rumbles right through the middle, doesn't it? Now, I understand that there's a few hiccups in that area as well.
85% of light rail 3, stage 3, goes through the Mermaid Beach electorate. And basically it has been a very disturbing process, if you like, and it's taken a long, long time. We've been in there for a couple of years now, from Pacific Fair, if you like, heading down to Burleigh. And I am told now, I'm having further consultation with the light rail people this afternoon, I am told now that it'll be into 2026 before it's operational down to Burleigh and for people to use.
So this is a different twist on the PR story, isn't it?
Absolutely. The original ETA was 2025. There's been a lot of issues, particularly with the CFMEU and some of the strikes and some of the programs that they've had to deal with and some of the downing tools. In fact, they tell me the productivity of these types of projects, infrastructure projects in Queensland, is down to 2.5 days per week because of all the strikes and all the union demands, if you like. So that's inhibited the arrival of the light rail stage 3. I mean, everybody just wants to see it arrive at Burleigh ASAP now that the project's well and truly on its way. And, it's very disappointing that we won't be seeing it till 2026. But when you look at it now, it's down. The main works has been about as far as Miami now, really, and they've still got that Miami to Burleigh Central part to finish off, which is going to take quite a long time to finish. So we've seen the tracks starting to be laid from Pack Fair down to Nobbies, but it's going to be quite a while before they get it right down to the Burleigh Central itself. This
will send a shockwaves through the business operators along that strip who, the original horizon was far enough away for them to have to weather all the interruptions, so it's going to be a longer period. Yes, and it's a real shame. I mean, I've got empty shops right along the Mermaid Beach stretch, if you like. The businesses have closed down and moved on, not being able to withstand the interruption, the traffic and all the barriers, if you like, that have been put forward to stop the normal trade of businesses along that strip. And it'll be quite a while before people return, even when the light rail 3 opens. They've got to fill those empty commercial premises again, and that's going to take quite a while. So into Burleigh itself, there's still quite a bit of damage to be done down there in terms of the project build. So we're going to see more of that over the next 12 months. Is there any access to compensation for loss of business and that sort of thing? No, under the Act there's no compensation available to businesses, and it's just a matter of the pain that has to be suffered. And you've seen it through Surfers Paradise and the Southport CBD area, where they still haven't recovered from a lot of the building of the light rail stages 1 way back when. Well, now, in the news this morning, we had yet another escapade on an e-scooter over the Sundale Bridge, zigzagging in amongst the traffic, and the cops nabbed him because the battery ran down. Sign of the times, isn't it? But it's I understand one of the issues that is coming across your desk in large numbers, complaints about e-scooters and e-bikes. Yes, absolutely, Russ, in terms of people are actually fed up with the bad behaviour of the users of a lot of these e-bikes
and e-scooters, if you like. And they modify them now, I am told, so that they can whip along. In fact, I went for my evening exercise walk yesterday evening along the Currawa pathway, and a guy went past about 30 kilometres an hour. And it's just, someone's just got to take a step to the right, either an elderly person or a lady with a pram. We see plenty of those pushing prams, etc., along those footpaths, and one of these guys will pick them up and clean them up, and it's just wrong. So we've announced last week in Parliament an inquiry. It'll take quite a while and take in a lot of areas, because it's not just here on the Gold Coast, it's Brisbane and regional areas as well up north. That will close. It'll take right through by the time the committee that's charged with running this investigation will report back to the Parliament by March of next year, and then we will look to put in some very strong laws to outlaw the bad behaviour of these bikes and scooters. I mean, they're called footpaths for a reason, and yet unfortunately people utilise them for these revved up modes of transport to get to work quickly, to get to their function quickly, or whatever it is. And it's just not acceptable. It is dangerous. The police are against it. My colleague John Paul Langbrook has been very vocal about it in the Parliament in terms of getting a solution. Now, we've had all sorts of people put answers together, put a registration on them. That's very difficult, requires a lot of bureaucratic and costly effort in terms of policing these matters, and then you need more police to book them, if you like, hanging around footpaths, which is not ideal when we want them out there catching young crims, and I'll talk about the young crims a little later. But the reality is that something has to be done. It has to be very firm in terms of bad behaviour on e-scooters and e-bikes. We don't mind if people utilise them correctly. That's, everyone's entitled to mosey along and make sure that everyone's safe in terms of the usage of these scooters and things. But the fact of the matter is, bad behaviour and utilise them at great speed is just not acceptable in our community. So we have to address it, and this inquiry will bring forward new laws that I am sure will address the bad behaviour of those few that are reckless in their utilisation of this fairly modern mode of transport.
Yeah, I've had conversations with people who've recently been overseas, Canada in particular, where they say the behaviour of people operating these vehicles is moderate and not as harebrained as we seem. Well, what's wrong with our youth?
Well, look, there's an aggressive sort of, I don't care attitude for some, and it's all about me. A lot of them are all about me, really, and so if I want to get to my party quickly or my workspace quickly, whatever, I'm going to whiz along as quickly as I can. I think France actually banned the e-scooters.
That's right, in Paris.
In Paris. So, and one of the other things that you see all the time is the scooters are dropped everywhere. It's almost like littering in public. You see these green scooters, green bikes everywhere. So, there are issues out there that have to be addressed. We're a brand new government for Queensland, and we will be doing it in a very considered and consultative way, so that we come up with a solution that is fair to everybody but delivers an outcome that makes it safe for elderly people and women with prams and men with prams to wander along these footpaths at a reasonable speed.
55208888 if you have had an experience, for example, in this area that Ray could take into that review. We'd like to hear from you. 55208888. Now, you mentioned youth crime, and I suppose you're pretty chuffed about the first, 3 months?
6 months we've had since we were elected last October. And we promised that there'll be new laws put in place. Adult crime, you do adult time. And it's already having an effect in terms of the police stats tell us that their youth crime offenders are down 32%. So I think they're now aware that if we commit these crimes, then we are going to spend a substantial time in lock-up situation. We won't be out playing with our friends, as has been the case under the previous government's legislation. So the adult adult crime, adult time laws are working, and we are continuing to add to them as we add more offences to qualify for adult crime, adult time. So it's going to take a while. There'll always be some that just ignore that, and there will always be some, committed criminals, if you like, and they'll be recidivist offenders. But the bottom line is they will be taken out under the adult crime, adult time laws and put away from the communities, and that's unfortunate. But that is what we have to do to make Queensland a better, safer place.
Yeah, so that's good. So we've got new crimes added to the list of those that will be affected. I suppose the question arises, you're working on a preventive basis rather than lock up,
Yep. Now, the police tell us that there's, in Queensland, right across Queensland, there's about 1,000 kids in this recidivist category. Okay,
a known cohort.
Yes, they're known. The police know them. They're on TikTok, for instance, and they're quite proud of their achievements. And you can't catch me type of.
This is
attitude.
the other element of it all.
That's right. So the police tell me there's about 80% of those 1,000 kids that are salvageable in terms of re-education and retraining. Now, the government is committed to a 12-month program for these kids that offend and re-educating them to turn them into good citizens, and there's a lot of money. It's 110 million going into those sort of programs to make sure that they see the light in terms of their behaviour. There's two roads you can take. One is it to be a good citizen in the Queensland community, or two, you'll end up locked up for a big period of your life, and that is a very bad outcome. Although the police do say that the 20% of those 1,000 kids are repeat offenders. They will be criminals the whole of their life, and they are the ones that we will have to take out of the community for their own safety.
Ray, I think we've got a first caller coming in for you. I'll just jig up the little line.
Graham's
here.
on the line.
Yeah.
Hello, Graham. Hello, Graham.
Yeah, Ray.
How are you?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, good. Have you, you yourself, will you be there at the Parliament itself or not?
Yeah, I'm back in the state Parliament. I'm the member for Mermaid Beach. And,
I know you are, but I'm talking about, this is Ray, I'm 85, mate. I use a battery bike. Have you ever ridden a battery bike, have you, or got one? Or
No, way above my pay scale, Graham. I'm not on the back. And
we're
not talking about...
what I'm saying to you there is, look, due respects to the politicians and everything, a lot of them aren't even retired. They don't even know what goes on up the top end after 60 years of age, But they've got to be more realistic, because there's none of them have been there to understand where they're going. They're that tied up in what they're doing. But unless, Ray, you get your hands onto something, you've got your hands on it, and you understand, and you've used it, or you whatever, or wherever you're going with anything in the future of a parliamentary setup. I find at 85, I've never had more stress in my life at 60 years of age. From just the normal living. It's accelerated out of only reason. It's not health or anything like that, but there's all these little things like, look, a battery bike, I can't get up a hill without it.
No, good, Graham, and you use it responsibly, I bet.
I've only been using it for 4 years, and I water ski every week. If I don't keep my exercise up, Ray, I am DEAD, dead. I
get the Graham, but I take it you use it responsibly. Yeah,
I do, but you can't control these. The 16, 17, the kids. Look, I've got a guy that's running 3 or 4 children, 16 to 18 or 20, and they're just learning what life's all about, and the police just can't. They've got no hope of keeping up with it. Look, the 250 watt bike battery, the 250 watt electric bike keeps it under about 20k or around it. Do
you realise there's a law that says you can't go over 12k?
No, I don't.
No, there is a law that the police can book you over 12k, Graham.
Well, I'm sorry, but my bike, I'd fall off the bike at 12k.
That's right, and that's why you're a responsible user. We're not looking to you, Graham, but we're looking to
I know
kids
you're
that do
not, Ray, but
20 and 30 kilometres an hour when they shouldn't be.
Yeah, look, I've experienced exactly what you happened to you the other day. 30 mile an hour went past me. I couldn't even see he was going
That's
that
it.
quick, you know.
That's it.
I think...
How do you control these young kids? It's no different than breaking in and stealing cars and everything like that.
Well, that's
They
all
don't
we've got
give
the inquiry for, Graham. We've got an inquiry to find out how we are going to control that behaviour, and we'll be coming down with some laws that will address this issue.
I've seen a lot of seniors stupid enough to ride scooters, electric scooters, you know.
Yeah.
But they might be going down the shops. They can't walk the distance or what have you. But obviously the smaller wheels are a problem if they hit a decent rut. You know, you're gone.
Yeah, Graham, I ride a bike on the footpath in Kurrawa and in the bike lane down Hedges Avenue for exercise, but I meander down to Burleigh and those sort of places at the right speed without offending anybody, without even risking running into ladies with prams or older people. So that's what we need to get to.
There's you and us, Ray, that play by the rules.
That's right.
Well, I think, Graham, what you've done...
All I'm asking for you is if you do get to Parliament, these guys that are around you are either too fat, too overweight, or wouldn't even know what a bike was like if they've ever read one, if they ever had one in their life. If you know what I mean.
Graham, I think you've drawn the members' attention to the very problem that he was talking about. Stay tuned as to...
Make sure you're at the inquiry, Graham.
Good on you, Graham. Thanks for the call. It reinforces exactly.
Look, and
your
we have
feeling.
people, disabled people with scooters and all those things. We recognise that they are necessary in our community, but they don't go along at 30k. And those little red flags flying on them. And we've got another one coming in. We've got Lynn.
You probably touched on a hot topic here. Just got to get the line fixed up. Here we go.
Good morning, Lynn.
Hello,
Good morning.
Lynn.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
That's the way.
Look, I just wanted to share with you, I have the pleasure of living on the Burleigh Esplanade, so we
Beautiful.
walk it
Lovely spot.
every day. However, we have a beautiful little grandson who's 2.5,
Yeah.
and on Saturday he's got his little, what they call a little balance bike
Yeah, I know the ones, yep.
on. Yeah, and an e-bike went past with a surfboard on the side.
Yeah.
The bike missed him, but the surfboard collected him big
Oh,
time.
dear, that's right, yeah. That's a real
So,
shame.
you know, I just, I see it so often where they're weaving in and out of the walkers. They never go on the grass, they just weave in and out on the footpath.
Yeah.
Is there some way that you can help us with that area?
Lynn, that is exactly why we've established this inquiry. I have got a lot of complaints coming to my office about e-bikes and e-scooters and bad behaviour on them, and that accident that your grandson has had is typical of people not caring about their behaviour. Now that is the matters that we have to address. We've got to address it. So we're running this inquiry to get feedback from people such as yourself right across Queensland to make sure that we put in some laws that are reasonable, fair, just, that work to stop this bad behaviour on footpaths. And that's what, I always bring it back to, is that people use and councils spend a lot of money putting these big wide footpaths in, not for people to whiz along at 30 kilometres per hour, but for people to utilise them effectively for, health reasons, walking reasons, and all those good healthy outdoor, pastimes. So, Lynn, we are very much aware of the problem in Queensland communities at the moment. We are addressing it. We are consulting out there to make sure we get it right. Everyone will have the opportunity to put their 10 cents worth in terms of how they see a solution. And then we'll come up with laws that will address bad behaviour. We're not addressing... we won't be addressing the good use of these footpaths by people in disabled vehicles or riding bikes at a reasonable speed or push bikes and those type of things. It's the ones that are utilising the footpath for reckless behaviour and reckless speed that we will be addressing.
Oh, that's great. Look,
Good on
thank
you,
you
Lynn.
for your time.
Thank you for
Appreciate it.
calling.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Lynn.
it.
Fine. Well, you certainly got support there for the review. It's
Yes.
a pity we've got to go into a review. I mean, the problem is obvious, isn't it?
Well, it is, but I think, to be fair in terms of consultation, and you've heard Graham giving a view previously about, the youth's attitude, you can't control youth's attitude.
yeah.
Well, that's not an excuse for bad behaviour, and that, it's like youth crime. It's not an excuse for bad behaviour. We have a community out there that we have to have fair and reasonable attitudes, and doing 30k on a footpath is not a fair and reasonable attitude.
I see the police who nabbed these two fellas on the Sundale Bridge at 120 k's on Saturday morning have issued them with notices to appear in court, because I think they are still trying to think up what can I charge them with.
Okay.
And so that's why we want your review to come out with some laws pretty soon.
Yes, and I'm sure that when we give everybody the opportunity to have their input onto these things, then we will be making some laws that are enforceable. And basically will send the message out quickly, and I'm not sure if they, will go down as far as confiscation of bad behaviour, facilities, vehicles, and that sort of stuff. But when people hoon in cars, there is confiscation laws available.
Yeah.
So if people don't get the message, then they're the sorts of things we'll have to look at through the inquiry.
Well, rest assured, we'll keep you on your toes about that, and keep asking you in this show when you come in every now and again
Absolutely,
how
happy
things
to
are
talk
going.
about it.
Okay,
Absolutely.
And we thank
Happy
you
to
for
be here.
Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Russ.
And a reminder that the program is available for your review on our 4CRB website, 4crb.com, almost as it concludes right now. Thanks, Ray.